All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai.
To the 12 tribes scattered abroad, greeting.
Shalom. Shalom.
So basically, last video we uploaded was about Mystery Babylon and the Vatican. So now what we want to do is we want to go into more of the history side of things to show how Mystery Babylon, how it came, what it is, what it consists of, how it's run, to get down to the get down to the nitty-gritty, so to speak. So we're going to start with this article right here called Revisionist History. The Jesuits Founded America as Told by the Victors, and that's what history is, his story. Okay. So now it starts out with the Jesuit oath, which is pretty sick. I mean, they basically pledged that to make war against all heretics, which is Protestants, liberals, or anybody that doesn't get down with the Catholic doctrine and hail to the Pope. You know what I mean? And they say that they will hang, waste, boil, flay, strangle, bury alive those infamous heretics, rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women, and crush their infants' head against the wall in order to annihilate forever the execrable race. So, you know what I mean? And then when they can't do that, they say they'll use poison, strangulation cords, steel, or any way that they can, basically. So this is how the Jesuits live. This is their creed that they live by, their mission statement, so to speak.
When they didn't go to any measures.
Right. So now let's look at the pyramid scheme, right? So who runs the world? So now at the very top of the pyramid, you got the Black Pope, which I think his name is Nikolai something. I can't remember. You can look it up.
Something like that.
Then you got the White Pope, which is Francis currently. Now, mind you, Pope Francis is a Jesuit. He's the first Jesuit Pope. So they've taken over the papacy to where the Jesuits used to just be the military leg. Now they are the Pope, right? So let's look at this pyramid. You got political Zionism, which is the so-called Jews. You got Bilderberg's, Business Advisory Council, CFR, Foreign Relations, United Nations, Bank Complex, Federal Reserve System, United Nations, Common Market, Atlantic Union, CETO, NATO, and other front alliances, tax-free foundations, income and estate taxes, communism, socialism, and all the rest of the isms. And then at the base you got secret societies. So that shows you how low they really are. And then under that, 99% of humanity as slave labor. Okay, so that's the hierarchy. So now that you see, and really when you look into it, the Illuminati, see, everybody thinks the Illuminati is just the head of everything. Well, the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati. He was a Jesuit. So, it goes back, the Illuminati was 1776, but this Jesuit order goes back to Ignatius Loyola, which is all the way back to the 1500s. So before the Illuminati was even really considered, the Jesuit order was the top, secret society on the planet at the time. Look, purveyors of world violence since 1540, you see. The original Men in Black. So looking at this right now, Jesuit rule. So when you look at this papal occult noble council, look at all these names on this circle. Farnese, Borgia, Orsini, Medici, Colonna. I don't know some of the rest of these. Adolfo Nicholas, that's a Black Pope's name. I don't know some of the rest of these. Pamphylia, Aldo, whatever, Chigi. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with them. But everybody's familiar with Borgia, okay, because that goes back to Pope Alexander VI, Rodrigo Borgia, and his bed wench, which was a married woman who he committed adultery with, was named Julia Farnese, and you'll find that out when you watch the Borgia series. That was his main woman. Now her brother, I think his name was Andrew, or I can't remember his first name, but he was elected a cardinal simply on the strength that the Pope was banging his sister. So he became a cardinal. Now this same Farnese became Pope, and he was directly responsible for the Council of Trent, the Colonna, the Medici, which you had Machiavelli was the counsel for the Medici family, the Orsini family. Now, when you research all these families, you're going to find out that these are the heads of the Italian mafias. Your Gambinos, your what's the other one? I can't think of all the names of the Italian mafia, but all the Italian mafia in Sicily, they all go back to these men. These are the front men with the money that set them up, and they're involved in the drug trade and everything else that they're in. So when you look at the Jesuit control from this, these circle of families, it goes all the way Central Europe, East Europe, South Europe, West Europe, North Latin America, Africa, East Asia, South Latin America, USA. That's everywhere in the world. I mean, right here in Detroit. You got Jesuit, you got U of D Mercy, which is a university, and that is a straight up Jesuit controlled university. So they have their foot everywhere. They have their people everywhere, because they made a pact that they were going to infiltrate every organization and every church and every school system. They infiltrate all of it. So the pattern of thought, all is going to revert back to the Pope and the Catholic Church teaching, which is why we tell you to stay out of the churches, because no matter what church you go to, you're going to be preaching an acceptable Catholic doctrine. Just because he don't wear the Dagon hat and walk around going it doesn't mean that you're not under the Catholic teaching, because you're still teaching the Trinity, okay, which goes back to Nimrod. You're still teaching the virgin birth, that the Lord was miraculously brought onto this earth, which goes back to Nimrod. Sun worship. I mean, all this is in the church, so you still teaching an acceptable doctrine, which is why the Pope, when he came here, 2 years ago or a year ago, his main petition to all the Protestant churches was, we all need to come together. And Kenneth Copeland, which is like one of the biggest evangelicals, Creflo Dollar and all these guys come up under him, he spoke to the Pope, and he's the one pushing that we all need to come together, because he's obviously, high ranking. So let's see. Okay, story of the Jesuits, right? We're just kind of breeze through some of these finer points. Rome, Maryland was the name of Washington, D.C. before the richest man in America at the time, John Carroll, a Jesuit, donated the land. Okay, the White House is named after Jesuit Andrew White, not because all white people are in it, but because the man's name was Andrew White. He gave and donated a lot of money, and for his services, they named the White House after him, which the White House just used to be called the estate or the mansion, or it didn't really have a significant name to it. Okay.
Yeah, it used to be called like the President's Palace.
Presidential Palace, yeah. Right. So now it's called the White House after the Jesuit Andrew White. You can't. After we're done with today, you can't tell us that America is not fully owned and operated by the Vatican and the Pope. You're not going to be able to say that. Okay. Washington, D.C. was founded February 21st, 1871 by Congress. They formed the U.S. Corporation, the United States of America, all capital letters, which deals with corporations. Anything in all caps is a corporation. It's dead, meaning it's not alive. It is it's a vessel, in other words. A fiction, right. And the 10 miles is a separate state beholden to no other country, including the United States of America. So D.C. is its own separate state, its own separate city within the state. They have their own flag. They have everything on their own. They're not subject to the jurisdiction of the rest of the corporation, which is known as the United States of America in all caps. Jesuits founded Canada at the same time. Andrew White established Maryland. Okay, Jesuits considered D.C. the New Jerusalem, or birthing of the New World Order. You see, that's the key. The birthing of the New World Order came through D.C. So really, Mystery Babylon, we already discussed, is the Vatican, is the Roman Catholic Church, but they used America and D.C. as the New Jerusalem, or the center of the New World Order, which is why you have the two states above D.C., Virginia and Maryland, Virgin Mary. You see, that's why they did that. It's all symbolic. You know? Look, Archbishop Edward Cardinal Egan controlling both sides 2008. So you had John McCain running and you had Obama running. Oh, know something, if you guys watch the news, they had a vote to repeal the Obamacare, and John McCain specifically, now, as much as he's against Obama, he specifically went up there. They show it on CNN over and over. He went up there to the what do you call it? The court or whatever it is, and he gave his thumbs down in front of everybody. So Obamacare is in the books, and they're not going to get rid of Obamacare anyway because it's got the chip in it. That's the whole reason why they brought it out. It's not like Obamacare is ridiculously cheap and affordable with great health care.
It's called affordable
it's horrible.
Healthcare, and it ain't even affordable.
It's not even affordable, but because it has the RFID chip in it, which is the last phase of the mark of the beast, that's going to be implemented. They need paperwork on it in order to implement it at some point. Archbishop Timothy Cardinal Dolan controlling both sides in 2012. There you go. Mitt Romney, right. See? And then you can look at Donald Trump. There's pictures of, matter of fact, let me see. There's a picture of Donald Trump. Clinton, Cardinal. Let's see if I can find it. Boom. See, you got this same cardinal with Clinton on one side and Trump on the other side.
Having a funky good time.
You see, right. And these two are supposed, he called her Crooked Hillary and all this, and now they're sitting there smiling, and he's laughing the hardest. Look at him, you know, because he knows what's really going on. Well, these two know, you know. And look, hey, and I'm going to tell you something else, too, about Trump. Now, I'm not making no predictions, but I will say this. The Simpsons show is very predictive when it comes to things. Now watch this. The Simpsons have been right on every prediction they came out with. So why is it that you got the Simpsons showing Trump in the coffin? I'm not making predictions, but the Simpsons be back grown and he know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So
the Simpsons, first of all, the Simpsons predicted Donald Trump's presidency.
Yeah.
But on top of that, they predicted it so accurately that there were scenes that occurred in The Simpsons that actually happened.
The escalator
scene for scene, the escalator scene.
Dropping the sign.
Every last little
Yeah,
detail occurred again in real life. That's crazy.
I'm going to give you another one. Watch this.
Oh, they got the same writer.
I'm going to show you another one. Trump. Saudi Globe. Now check this out. You're going to freak out when I show you this. I'm telling you, The Simpsons is like predictive programming. Now watch this. You see these, right? Trump, Melania, Saudi Arabian, the king or whatever. I don't know who this guy is exactly. Egyptian president. Okay. President of Egypt. Now watch this. Simpsons episode. Same clothing. Melania in the back. Trump got the same suit with the same tie. Let me get a better picture. Look at that. Same striped blue tie. Same outfit. There's Melania in the back. You see this? And this was 2002. Wow. Look at that. 2002. So you think they don't tell you? They predictively program this stuff. They let you watch Family Guy and The Simpsons and South Park, and they show all these things in there that's really going to happen. Like you said, Daniela. Oh man, what happened?
And what's that symbolize? Because that's a big symbol right there. I mean,
see, look, predicted it right to the T. Same elevator. This sign, they drop it. They drop the sign, and I mean, how did they know this? 15 years later, how did they know? You know, so that shows you that they're all in on it. You can't. People want to say, "Oh, Trump," you know, Trump is, you know, he's fighting for us, and he's going to get. No, he's not. He's in the whole he's part of the program.
Yeah, see, it's just they got their eyes on the globe, and they all putting their hands on the globe, which means they all got their hands.
Which means what? Coming together,
handling the world. They all
coming to the new world order, coming together. See, they know, you know, they know this, and they put stuff out there. So when you see them in the coffin, I'm just saying, you know,
America, you could be my ex-wife,
right? But anyway, going back here, Obama surrounded by Roman Catholic Jesuit-trained intelligence leaders. Excuse me. Okay. Here's a breakdown of the cabinet and the White House. You know, you got Vice President Mike Pence, self-described evangelical Catholic. Chris Christie, Catholic. Newt Gingrich, Catholic. Michael Flynn, Catholic. Giuliani, Catholic. Jared Kushner, he's a Jesuit. He's a so-called Jew. He's a rat, but he's a Jesuit. See what I'm saying? And he admits that he's a so-called Jew, but still he's a Jesuit. See how they don't have any religious loyalty at all to any God. Their God is money. So they'll move into they'll be a Muslim if it means they'll get the money. Look at the House of Saud. Look at what they're doing. You know, Steve Bannon, Jesuit.
Well, they do have loyalty to a God, and that's Satan.
Exactly. You know, Lou Barletta, Catholic.
And Satan says, pledge your allegiance to every damn near everything.
And see, going back to Nimrod, that's how Satan got in the picture, because Nimrod and them found, after Nimrod died, Semiramis, she desired the worship for her and her child, which was Tammuz, which she said she got impregnated by the sun god, which when Nimrod died, she said that he became the sun. So they spread the worship of Satan through symbols. You see what I'm saying? That's why in Christianity, Catholicism, you have the sun, you have the picture of sun everywhere. You have the sun behind the white Jesus, you know, the halo. Yeah. It's everywhere. Why? Because that is secretly worshiping Satan in a mystery Babylon. You don't even know what you're doing, but you're doing it.
They set up, what was I about to say? It's like what she did, she set up a guise of worshiping, you know what I mean, just like the Roman Catholic the church is doing, you know.
Right.
Through you said through symbols, you know what I'm saying. They're getting you to worship things through guise of believing in it's something else. You know what I mean?
Like throwing up your index and your pinky finger alone, the horns. Oh, that's Texas. That's rock and roll. No, it's not. But you'll think that. But if you look into it, you're like, why is the president of France doing it? If it's just rock and roll, you know what I'm saying? If it's for the Longhorns in Tennessee, you know,
you see a church in a temple, they be like, oh, okay, it's nice, it's pretty, but then they all kneel it down, and then you come to find out they worshiping the damn sun as a god, you know.
And see how the Most High work and how Satan work is Satan does not care if you outwardly say his name or not, as long as you are doing it. He'll take it, whether you know it or not. I'll take it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All you got to do is just be there, and I'll accept it. Yeah. You know, and the Most High gonna turn His back on you. Why? Because, okay, when a police officer pulls you over, and he says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" and you say no, and he says you were speeding. The sign back there said 45. You were going 55. Well, I didn't see a sign. Guess what? Ignorance is no excuse. I don't give a shit if you didn't see the sign. You're getting a ticket. So the Most High is just like that. He doesn't care if you didn't know out of ignorance. You were supposed to study. The scriptures tell you, study to show thyself approved. So it's your duty to look into these things.
Yeah, and besides that, the signs were everywhere regardless, and you just didn't look.
Right.
He didn't look.
So Chris Collins, Catholic. Tom Marino, Catholic. Devin Nunes, Catholic. Anthony Scaramucci. Now this guy replaced Sean Spicer as the it says Council on Foreign Relations, but he's now the speaker. I forget what Sean Spicer's official title is, but the guy who gives all the press conferences for the White House, that's him now. He's a Roman Catholic, and he's on the CFR. Eric Trump, his son, Jesuit trained from Georgetown. Okay, also Bill Clinton was Jesuit trained from Georgetown. Ivanka Trump, Georgetown. This guy, Georgetown. This guy, George. You know what I'm saying? Jesuit. Catholic. I mean, the list goes on and on.
What does Jesuit mean?
Well, they call themselves the Society of Jesus. I mean, let's go.
Just for those who didn't know.
Right. Let's go take a look.
Because we already see that it sounds like
they call themselves the Society of Jesus, right? Which that's basically what it goes back to. I mean, the word goes back to Isis, you know, but Jesuit They just, changed it a little bit. Society of Jesus is what they're actually called. So
Okay, all right.
So going back to the article, let's get into some things here. Not too much on this article. It's just giving the similarities between the American flag, the British flag. Same colors, just reorganized, just a little bit different. The Red Cross, Knights of Malta.
It's funny too because this article made a good point. It says, why would you, if you really separated from your captors, why would you make your flag all the same exact colors?
Exact same.
Right.
See? Right. Look, Father White, which is the man Andrew White, who's named the White House after, he baptizes the Indian chief. Now, this article right here shows you how they did Gad. They came here with the specific purpose of converting Gad. They even had Sitting Bull, the famous Sitting Bull. They got to him. So these Jesuits made it their business. Notice how he got the fringes, right? They made it their business. Right. They made it their business to convert the high ranking members of Gad's the tribes, to convert them. And also another thing, another Jesuit tactic is we don't need the fathers, we'll go to the children. Okay, because that's why you see in America a lot of these schools, these private schools, these charter schools are owned by the Vatican. Because think about it, why doesn't the Vatican own your average Detroit high school? Because they don't care. Or your average, public school throughout the country. They don't care about the masses of you that are going to go and you're going to either drop out or you're going to, you know what I'm saying? They don't care about you. They care about the upper echelon. That's why all these Catholic schools, these Christian schools, these charter schools, you have to pay. The tuition is expensive. Everybody can't send their kids to a private school. But why? Because it's only for the educated, the wealthy. Why? So they can train their children. Train a child in the way that he should go. And when he grows, he shall not depart from it. So that's a Jesuit doctrine. We'll take your children. We don't care about you because you'll die. We'll take your children and indoctrinate them, and they will carry this on forever to their children. That's why all the schools and the universities, not all of them, but a lot of them are owned by the Vatican. Also, Catholic Church is the only place where you can go if you're hard up, and they'll pay your light bill, your phone bill. You go to them. They have outreach programs where you tell them you're hard up. They'll give you all that. Your local mega church with TD Jakes won't give you. They'll tell you you're in our prayers. That's all they'll tell you. But the Catholic Church will actually come out of pocket and pay because they want to convert you. See, why do you think Sprint and all these companies, the phone companies, is like, oh, if you with Verizon, Sprint's like, we'll buy out your whole contract because they know that $800-900 for the contract, they're gonna get that out of you for years of service. All the years that you're paying monthly, they'll get more money out of you. Same thing that's the Catholic Church is doing. So let's keep going. So going into Maryland. I think that's it on that. I don't think I want to, because really it goes into how they did the slavery and how they were doing the Gadites and how they were doing Judah, with the slavery here and everything like that. So let's move on to another article. Now this is called The Real History of the United States of America. Okay. So I want to read the conclusion. Do me a favor, go ahead and read that out.
Okay. The United States of America has been locked into a Babylonian economic system that extends from the blend of pagan Emperor Constantine and the Roman Catholic Church in 382 AD.
Now pause. A Babylonian economic system from the Roman Catholic Church. You see the connection? The Catholic Church and Babylon. And America is in it. We're going to show you how America plays into this, but go ahead.
Which is under the control of the King of England.
Which is under the control of the King of England. We're going to get into all that. Go ahead.
Who is owned by the Vatican per the Treaty of 1213.
Now let that sink in. The King of England is owned by the Vatican per the Treaty of 1213. Let's get into the Treaty of 1213 real quick, and we'll come back to that. Okay? You need to understand this, because this is pivotal to understanding how we get to this. How do we get to this? The Trinity of globalist control: Vatican City, London, and D.C. Religion, finance, and military, all three separate states, completely independent with their own flags and everything. How do we get to this? Well, that's why we got to examine the Treaty of 1213. Go ahead and read that from me.
God. It says, once upon a time before year 1066, the people of England held a lodial title to their land, and what that means is the people had they were basically free rulers of their own land. They didn't really, their land didn't belong to nobody but them.
Sovereign.
Yeah,
sovereign.
Not even the king could take the land for not paying a tithe. William the Conqueror came in 1066 and stole the king's title and took the land of the people. From William I, 1066, to King John, 1199. England was in dire straits. It was bankrupt.
So William the Conqueror came through and just jacked it all up, and they were insolvent, which is another word for bankrupt. Okay, so now let's go ahead and read through this.
Says the king invoked the law of mortmain, the dead man's hand, so people couldn't pass their land onto the church or anyone else without the king's permission, modern-day probate. Without mortmain, the king would lose the land he controlled. The Vatican didn't like that because the king owed a lot of pounds to the Vatican.
So who was England in debt to or bankrupt to? The Vatican. Okay, go ahead.
King John refused to accept the Vatican's representative, Stephen Langton, whom Pope Innocent III installed to rule England. In 1208, England was placed under papal interdict, which means a prohibition.
Now, so basically what happened is you had a loan granted to where it could not be paid. Okay, a debt could not be paid. So now the same thing this is the same thing that we find in the book of Genesis, the 39th, 40th chapter, speaking of Joseph, when he rose to power in Egypt. What happened is he set up the 7 years of plenty where they stashed the corn for the 7 years of famine. And what happened is during the famine, the people paid for the corn, but they ran out of money because it was such a bad famine. They couldn't cultivate anything, so they couldn't get money, because the way you got money was from what? Agriculture. Or you had
Services.
smiths and different things like that. But if you can't get money, then how can you eat? So now at this point, when you read the scripture, it tells you that Joseph said, okay, well, you can't afford it, so give us your livestock. We'll take your livestock in exchange for the food. They gave up the livestock. They ended up giving up their home, their real property, personal and commercial, and they ended up giving up themselves. They became slaves, debt slaves, okay, to Pharaoh. So now you see the same thing happening here. You had a loan that was given out. They couldn't pay it. So now what did the Vatican do? They sent out a representative, this man, and he was going to rule. You still had the king, but he would sit on, the King John would sit on the throne. But just like Pharaoh, it says Joseph became a father unto Pharaoh. So this man here was going to become his daddy. And he was going to tell him how to run everything.
Yep.
You just sit back and lay on the throne and do what I say. Okay? But he didn't want that. So now they put him under prohibition. Okay, so let's
sanctions.
Sanctions.
In another word.
Just like how U.S. is doing Russia. Okay, so let's keep reading.
King John was excommunicated, and in trying to regain his stature, he groveled before the Pope and returned the title to his kingdoms of England and Ireland to the Pope as vassals.
So before he was done away with and thrown in the street as a regular common folk, he said, look, I want to keep my kingship, so you can have all of this. He gave it all up to the Pope. Come on.
And swore submission and loyalty to him. King John accepted Langton as Archbishop of Canterbury and offered the Pope a vassal's bond of fealty and homage.
So he said, I'm cool with your guy coming in here, taking this title, telling me what to do. Do whatever you got to do. Just let me keep the fame and the name and the title. I'll do whatever you want. Okay, go ahead.
2 months later, in July of 1213, King John was absolved of excommunication at Winchester by the returned Archbishop of Canterbury, Langton. On October 3rd, 1213, by treaty, King John ratified his surrender.
Boom. This right here is what's known as the Treaty of 1213 that we read over here. Okay, England is owned by the Vatican per Treaty of 1213. This is it.
Okay,
go ahead.
I'll read it again. On October 3rd, 1213, by treaty, King John ratified his surrender of his kingdoms to the Pope as Vicar of Christ, who claimed ownership of everything and everyone on earth as tradition.
Boom. So the treaty basically gave up all of England and all the kingdoms therein, because remember, once upon a time, England or Great Britain was known as the kingdom on whom the sun never sets. Why? Because they owned so much territory that no matter where you were in the earth, the sun was shining.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And he gave all that up to the Pope as who? Vicar of Christ. Let's look up that word vicar. Let's see what that really means. Vicar. Early 14th century Anglo-French vicar. Deputy, second in command. From Latin vicarius, a substitute. Okay, deputy or proxy. Okay.
That word proxy is the key word, because anything that is a proxy to another thing means that you will go to that thing instead, and only that thing instead. If something is holding proxy, it basically stands in place of the other thing.
That's right. Let's go into that word. Agency of one who acts instead of another, a letter of power of attorney. You see, so when you have power of attorney, you basically control somebody's life. You always see this when somebody's in the hospital or on their deathbed. You know, their kin or their husband or wife or children, they invoke power of attorney, which means they have the right to manage the assets, finances, and the personal well-being of that person.
That's right.
Okay, so now you have the Vicar of Christ, which basically saying that he is in the seat of Yahushua. That's basically what Vicar of Christ is saying. So now, don't we read in the scriptures where it says, matter of fact, can you
That's crazy.
Let's get, oh, that's what I forgot.
He said he managing all the accounts and affairs of the Lord on the earth. You know, that's funny.
Right.
That's blasphemous. You know?
Exactly. That's totally blasphemous. And we're going to read it in the scriptures. What's that? 2 Thessalonians? I think it is. Okay, here we go. Let's start with verse 2.
Verse 2 or 3?
2 or 3, yeah.
Okay. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
The son of perdition or utter destruction, the man of sin is going to be revealed. Let's find out who he is.
Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
Isn't that what Vicar of Christ means? That he's sitting in the temple of God, saying that he is the substitute, he's the proxy. God is not here, I'm here. I'm in his seat. I'm telling you what to do.
I'm handling all the accounts, affairs.
Right. Go ahead.
Scripture.
Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And now ye know that withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time.
That he's going to be revealed in his time. Go ahead.
For the mystery of iniquity doth already work.
The mystery of iniquity. Mystery Babylon, the mystery of iniquity already works. Through who? The Roman Empire. You understand? Go ahead.
Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy the brightness of his coming.
Now check this out. This is a heavy scripture, because it says, the mystery of iniquity already work. Only he who now letteth will let. Meaning the Most High is the only one who allows anything to happen at any given time. So only he is letting this man or this power structure take place until he be taken out of the way.
Yep.
So look at, I'm going to read that again. Until he be taken out of the way. And then, once he's taken out of the way, then shall that wicked be revealed. Now wait a minute. How's he going to be revealed? By the spirit of the Lord's mouth, and destroy him with the brightness of his coming. So this mystery Babylon, this mystery of iniquity, is going to be taken out of the way, and he's going to be revealed then. So what that means is, when the elect are finally elevated, and they finally have their spiritual bodies, and they have the power, and they're in the land of Israel, then they're going to be taken out of the way, because everybody's going to know that the Catholic Church was all BS. It was all pagan, and that the true God is with the true Israelites. You understand? Then the Lord's going to totally destroy him. You see? Come on.
Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders.
Right. And who's doing that besides the Catholic Church? You got Virgin Mary crying blood tears and everything like that. All kind of crazy. Fatima, they show like on sides of building. Oh, I saw Jesus on the side of the building. All kind of BS they do, man, you know? But that's the whole point. Okay, what was your precept?
No, I was looking for the one, the scripture where it says, if someone comes to you preaching another Christ.
Oh, yeah.
That's in Peter, isn't it?
That is...
I thought it was...
2 Corinthians.
All right, 2 Corinthians. All right. I was thinking it was a John.
Oh, come on. 11 and right here.
Okay. Yeah.
One of y'all want to read that?
Right.
Con.
Go ahead.
2 Corinthians 11 and 4. For if he that cometh preacheth another
Well, start from 3.
Start from 3?
Yeah.
Con. But I fear, lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety.
Subtlety, right. That's the same. That's that facade that they're using. That mystery, all right?
Right.
And being beguiled, beguiling you. Continue right.
So your minds should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Hamashiach.
Right.
For if he that cometh preacheth another Yahushai,
that's what they're doing. That's their whole agenda, and they've accomplished it. Thus, through the allowing the Lord allowing them through the spirit of Satan. They're preaching that other Jesus through them Jesuits. That wine, that false philosophy.
The proof is in this very verse right here, where they replace the word Yahushai with Jesus.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. Knowing that there was no J.
Right.
And
the message is in towards the end of the verse.
Whom we have not preached, or if ye receive another spirit which ye have not received, or another gospel which ye have not accepted, ye might well bear with him.
Right. So that's the whole point. You wanna be able to decipher. And I said that's the thing that the Lord didn't preach. You know what I'm saying? Following these pagan philosophies and falling in line with the Roman Catholic doctrine, or those that are extensions of them,
Exactly. All right, so going back to the treaty. So the question, where in the Bible did Yahushua give any man this kind of power over all men and land? He never did. Never did. Okay. So, not talking about UCC, contracts and everything. So, okay, let's start right here.
The contract, Treaty of 1213, was between two parties. Now the barons of England would not put up with being slaves any more, so they took to the sword and made King John sign the Magna Carta. So doesn't this act of the barons violate the principle of natural law when they created the Magna Carta as having no force and effect upon a contract between two parties? Well, Pope Innocent III, the other contracting party, thought so, for he declared the Magna Carta to be unlawful and unjust, as it is base and shameful, whereby the apostolic see is brought into contempt, the royal prerogative diminished, the English outraged, and the whole enterprise of the crusade greatly imperiled.
The enterprise. All right.
Quoted from G.R.C. Davis, Magna Carta, trustee of British Museum, London, 1965.
See, give the source. I like that. Keep going.
The Pope, in order to introduce strife in England and Ireland that would help him, used the Lord's teachings to his advantage. That is verified in the Gospels by two of his apostles. So Saint Levi in Mark 2:14 and Luke 5:27, alias Matthew, cites the Lord at Matthew 10:34-36, and Luke 12:49 and 51 and 3. Nothing reveals the antithesis of government and religion more clearly than these facts. Question 3. What did the contract of 1213 AD create? A trust or contract? Only the two parties, the king's heirs and the Pope, can break the contract, for the trust contract cannot be broken as long as there are heirs to both sides of the contract.
Right.
At this time in history, we now know who controlled the kings of England and the land of the world.
And the land of the whole world. Go ahead.
For now we have the Pope claiming the whole Western Hemisphere besides Europe. The Holy See of Antioch ruled all easternly side, and the Holy See of Alexandria ruled the western side. So there was a conflict.
Now we get into the meat of it, talking about America.
So on with the story. The king's explorers had come to America to claim dominion over the land by deceiving and murdering the natives, the American Indians. The king operated under the Treaty of 1213, and everything was going along okay until the 1770s, where a bunch of rogues called the Founding Fathers decided they wanted the benefits but not pay the taxes to the king. They, being lawyers and professional educated men, didn't know they were still under the Pope's control. Their lies and fraud would affect the American colonies and the people who lived on the land.
Right.
These common people who fought in the American Revolution were unaware that the 1213 treaty still ruled, despite the fact they thought the Magna Carta was a viable piece of work. The Declaration of Rights in 1689 declared the rights of the British subjects in England. At the end of the English Declaration, it stated at Section 3 that should any of the rights just mentioned be in violation of the Holy Alliance 1213 treaty, it is as if this declaration was never written. And that, I want to point out, if you go and look up that Bill of Rights from 1689, it doesn't say that exactly, but you need to break it down piece by piece. Because if you read it piece by piece, this Bill of Rights in 1689 says that anything written in this bill, should it contradict anything written before this bill, it's as if the bill was never written.
Right.
So it's pretty much nullifies the entire bill.
Yeah, that bill nullifies the bills prior to it.
And see, that's how they...
Or rather, bills prior to it nullify that bill.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's how Esau does business.
Yeah.
That's why he's called... That's why Gad called him the fork-tongued devil. Because he speaks with two different tongues. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, look at him.
He speaks on both sides of it. He speaks one thing on one hand and the other thing on the other hand. You know, and the left and the right, you're not supposed to know what the left and the right are doing. You know?
That's crazy that they did make the damn, what is that guy, Lord Sith or something like that?
Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars.
Yeah, made him just look just like
he's just like him.
Right.
Like a Jesuit.
All right, start this next paragraph.
Doesn't the United States have an ambassador in the Vatican? Why? Is it a government like all other nations such as France, Japan, Spain, or Brazil? The Vatican runs the world. It controls the British crown.
It controls the British crown. Okay, that's the importance. And we just showed you how it controls the British crown. What were the events leading up to that? Okay, so now that we know that the Vatican controls Britain, we can easily prove how Britain runs America, which we're gonna keep going.
Is it any wonder they separate man's church and government? They don't talk about the Lord Almighty's church / government, do they?
Right, because it tells you in the scriptures that the government shall be on his shoulders. Speaking of Yahushua. Go ahead.
Organized churches are given special tax privileges because the Vatican dictates to the 60 United States trustees through the trust document. The U.S. Constitution, created by the 1783 treaty between the King, frontman for the Vatican, and Adams, Hartley, Lawrence, and Franklin, who were operating for the King and not the people of America. Look at Article 6 of the Constitution for the United States for your answer as stated in the New History of America.
See? So he's saying Ben Franklin, John Adams, these men were siding for the crown. George Washington too. Go ahead.
You see, we are still under the Pope, who rules over all nations, as he declared. He did back in 1213. The 1783 treaty did say in the opening statement, quoted exactly as it appears in Old English, it having pleased the divine providence to dispose the hearts of Moft Serene and Moft Parent Prince, George III, by the grace of God, King of the Great Britain, France, and Ireland, Defender of the Faith, Duke of Brunswick and Lauenburg, Arch-Treasurer, and Prince Elector of the Holy Roman Empire, and the United States of America.
See, so now King George was, where was it? He was titled as all these titles, but he was Prince Elector of the Holy Roman Empire, okay, and the United States. And see how it's in all caps, you know what I mean? Which goes back to the city, you know, the city-states. Hold on, let's see. I don't want to read all this. Okay, let's start right here.
What about the secret Treaty of Verona, made the 22nd of November, 1822, which shows the power of the Pope and the Vatican's interest in the United States Republic?
See, and this is the key right here, because now the Treaty of Verona is an addition to the Treaty of 1213, because 1213 automatically, by proxy, gives the Vatican access to the United States of America through England. But now the Treaty of Verona even went deeper, because now they had interest in the Republic. Because why? It wasn't a republic. The Vatican and the way it was run during the Dark Ages, it was a monarchy. Okay, it was the Pope on top, and you had his cardinals and bishops and everything. Then you had the poor. That was it. There was no such thing as middle class. There was no middle class. You'll never see middle class in the Dark Age movies. You're never going to find it.
Right.
You either see the people sleeping in dirt, banging on the church, give us some quid.
Yeah.
Or you see the people dressed in, you know, robes and velvet. You know what I'm saying? So what happened was, now with the Protestant Reformation, like we brought out before, the Protestant Reformation brought in a government by the people, because why? You had people who were not subject to the Pope. They didn't look at the Pope as the supreme vicar of Christ and the supreme ruler of all things in the earth, so they began to separate from that. Protest, that's why it's called Protestant.
And then that's what you said, they created their own republic.
Right, and that's why the Vatican had interest in the U.S. Republic, because they wanted to squash that. That's their whole plan, is to do away with that. Why do you think right now the middle class is shrinking as we speak? In the 50s and 40s and 60s, the middle class flourished. You had people that made enough money to where you could have 6, 7 kids and a wife, and you just worked 1 8-hour shift 5 days a week.
Because everything was built upon necessities.
Right.
You know, barter, trade, you know.
Now,
like that.
you had a Georgetown Jesuit educated named Bill Clinton, who everybody wants to say is the first black president before Obama.
The first whack
Yeah, no, he's not. Just because he can play the saxophone, Kenny G can play the saxophone. Is he an Israelite too? I mean, come on, that's just ridiculous. He might be though, but
Yeah.
But the point is,
just saying though.
But the point is, I'm just saying you can't base it on who can play the saxophone. But the point is that Bill Clinton signed NAFTA, which NAFTA, the North
Atlantic
Treaty. No, that's NATO. NAFTA is North. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's when we got it at the tip of our fingers, right?
I knew what it was, but
fair trade. Yeah,
North American Free Trade Agreement. There we go. So now he signed NAFTA in the 90s. Now what this did was it gave other countries access to go up and set up shop in these other countries for cheaper labor. Okay, which is, you have a big push now that's just happening like wildfire. So back in the 90s, everybody's, oh, Bill Clinton, he's the best president. We all got jobs. We're doing good. Yeah, because it takes time for the agreement to settle, to dust to settle, to show the results of it. So it took till the year 2000. Now you get Bush Jr. in there, and everybody thinking he turned the country to shit. But really, NAFTA turned it to shit because it took away the middle class little by little. Because now all the businesses are going into other countries where it's cheaper. You got sweatshops and slave labor where they can get everything done. They don't have to pay your spoiled ass, whatever wage you want. They just pay pennies on the dollar. So that right there helped to get rid of it, and he's in on it. He was trained at Georgetown. Let's see here. This is just talking about the Treaty of Verona. We don't need to go into all this. Well, okay, let's read this.
Yeah, you go.
Says, do we have a false god before us and worship him and his church instead of the real Lord Yahushua and his government? The divine right of kings exists in Clinton and every other governor of the states in corporate union. Let me go on record and say that the Lord gave me the same right as the Pope claims was given to him. Right. Am I not a steward upon the land of the Lord as a mere sojourner, the same as the Pope? Are you not also a steward?
Now, hold on, I'm looking for this precept in Wisdom of Solomon. I'm not gonna pull it up because I gotta pull up a whole nother tab. I'm just gonna read it. This is Slakia. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 3. For power is given you of the Lord, and sovereignty from the highest, who shall try your works and search out your counsel. So the man is right. As Israelites, we have been given sovereignty by the Lord, to where that's where you get the whole common law from. Because you got the law of the land and the law of the water, which is the law of the land is common law, and the law of the land of the water is admiralty maritime. So now you are under common law because you're on land, which common law dictates that you are a sovereign citizen, and any land that you purchase is yours outright. You don't have to pay taxes on it. Even the land, even this land in America, right, or even in England, if you buy property, you can buy the property and they'll say it's yours and you can have the deed to it and everything. But anytime the state or the province or the district or whatever you're living in feels like they want to take some of it, they can. They can. Right here in Michigan, I've seen it done. They can take your home. If you're living off of a main road, they can take your driveway and they can decrease it to extend the road, the width of the road. They can do that. And you can't say anything about it. So any given time, they can take it away from you. And if you do not pay the taxes, what do? They take it away from you and they auction it off to anybody.
Well, by United States law, they actually can force you to leave your house. They can evict you from your house and demolish it if they wanted to build a highway through where your house currently is.
That's right. That's exactly right.
on a whim too. They don't got to give you no notice. They don't got to. You have, and there's no debate. You're not allowed to say, "Well, wait a minute. I want to argue my case." No, there's no case. You're getting the fuck out of your house right now, and we're building this highway.
You want to help?
Exactly. Okay, so let's go back to this article where we were at.
Con. So we just read, which is under the control of the King of England, who is owned by the Vatican per the Treaty of 1213, which is what we just went over. So, in 1611, King James had the Bible translated into an official English version. King James happened to be the most powerful Freemason in history because he ruled Scotland and England at the same time. In 1776, the rebellion in the colonies was halted and the aristocrats were placed into checkmate by the Vatican, whose message was delivered by the king's agents. From that point until today, Americans have been taught a myth about their own history, which holds them in slavery to the most powerful corporation on earth, which resides in Rome, Italy. Americans have been deliberately kept ignorant of the truth.
See, the most powerful corporation on earth, which is in Rome. You know, so it starts off here. You know, then England. Remember, we read England gave. The King John gave up all authority to the Vatican. So now it's well known that King George III helped finance the beginnings of the 13 colonies.
I think it was both sides, right?
Yep, they financed both sides. So the setting up of the 13 colonies goes back here, you know, which is why you find in the scripture in Jeremiah when it says your mother shall be sore confounded. As a matter of fact, let me get that.
Jeremiah.
I think it's 22, I believe. Yeah, 50. Let me see. It's 50 and 12. So now in Jeremiah 50, we're talking about Babylon, right? And this can be confusing, and I can understand why it would be confusing, because Jeremiah 50 is speaking of the latter days, right? Now, when you go to okay, let's start at 10.
Con. Jeremiah 50 and 10. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith Yahweh. Because ye were glad, because ye rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage. Because ye are grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert.
So now you read this and you say your mother shall be sore confounded. Well, that's England is the mother country to America, but the actual mother is the Vatican. Mm-hmm. You see, so it all when you speak about Babylon, right?
Mother of harlots.
It's right when you speak about Babylon being the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth, as it's written in Revelation 17. You're dealing with the Vatican City, okay, the religion of the Roman Catholic Church. But under that, they have what's the Trinity of globalist control, because they need London and they need DC.
Military.
You see, here's the thing, right? The Vatican, they deal with religion, okay? So they come under the guise of Christianity and the Bible, which we know that at the end of the day, there's a lot of pagan idols and pagan worship that is got into that through Constantine. We know that. So what they did, what the priests and the Pope did, now remember, the Pope assumes the high priest. He's like the high priest, and the cardinals and everything. They're supposed to be holy men, and they're supposed to go according to the law. So the law states that you cannot be found with usury. Okay, you have to stay away from. You're not in charge of doing the business. Okay, the money transaction part of it.
Right. If it was the church putting usury, if I might add, the church putting usury on people, they were looking at them crazy, so they had to operate in another system or guys set up shop somewhere else to operate and do that.
Exactly.
You know.
So now that that's said, so now you need what they did was they said, well, who can we get to operate the treasury? Let's go to the so-called Jew. Because the so-called Jew, ever since they came out of the caves, they had no problem doing whatever they needed to do
usury.
to get ahead, including usury. Because they claimed the religion of the Israelites, they claimed to be the Hebrew Israelites, and they claimed to follow the Torah, and they took the Talmud with it from Babylon, right? So what they did was they set up the city-state of London, which is where the Rothschilds make their home, and the Rothschilds are so-called Jews along with the other banking families, okay? And they set them up as the treasurers. This is how this goes. So now you got the treasury here. Now what did Rothschild say? See, this is where the lines get skewed, because you had Amsher Meyer Rothschild, I believe. He said, "Give me control." Yeah, however you say it.
Yeah.
Give me control of nation's money, and I care not who makes his laws. Right. So they became in charge of the money. So they
set up those banking, the five brothers.
Yeah,
branched out and
exactly.
set up those banking systems.
So then, in turn, now you get D.C., which is supposed to be the military might. Also, it's supposed to be where they would push the Catholicism, the Roman Catholicism. They'll push it like none other. And you see that because now they have all these offshoot churches which still preach the same. So you think you're getting away. Oh, I know the Catholic Church is wicked. I'm going to be a Seventh-day Adventist. But you're still doing the same thing.
Yep. And it's the same thing with the currency. Like, if I'm going to add, with the religion, it's they pushing the religion. With the finance, they pushing the fiat currency. And with the military, they use it to force all of it.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? So it's 3 in 1.
So it's 3 in 1. That's what do you think a Trinity is? See, the Trinity comes from Nimrod. Okay, Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz. But ultimately, that's just a twisting. People twist. The way they explain it in the church is, well, see, it tells you in 1 John that the Father and the Son and the Spirit are one. Yeah, but it tells you that they agree in one, not that they are one. That whole Trinity. We'll do another lesson on the Trinity, and we'll go back to Nimrod on them and break all that down. Lord willing, we'll do that next week. But for now, the scriptures tell you plainly that the Father and the Son and the Spirit are not one entity. They just think alike. They're on one accord. As we here at the Good Samaritans are on one accord, but you hear separate voices speaking, don't you? We're not one voice. You know what I mean? So this is why when you deal with Babylon, you deal with the Trinity of Babylon, which ultimately is here. But you also have these two here.
Extensions.
Are extensions. And the scriptures speak about that. The scriptures tell you, matter of fact, let's see something. Okay. Let's read this right here.
It's Revelation 16 and 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of the Most High Almighty.
Boom. So now you see how these 3 are gathering everybody in the world. It comes back to these 3. Yep. The whole world is going to come and fight against the Lord and against each other ultimately, but against the Lord because of these 3, because of what they're doing. And it's evident. You know, you got the world wars, which were fought to establish the land of Israel for the so-called Jew. And then you had the monetary wars going on with that, because you had men that were trying to go back to gold and to get out of the money, the finance aspect of it. Yeah. But then when you try to go against the finance aspect of it, what happens? The military part of done away with you. You know, right? They take you out. You know, you always needed like Wilkes Booth, right? John Wilkes Booth. When Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in that theater, who do you think John Wilkes Booth was working for? The Jesuits. Mm-hmm. You understand? The Jesuits gave the order. So the Jesuits is the military part of the Roman Catholic Church from the 1500s. Well, look, they just set up D.C. Mm-hmm. Now you have a military force, a huge military force to back whatever you want. Yeah. You know?
And with this force, we set up the same thing. We allow all nations to come in under like the Roman Empire. All nations come in and participate in this Babylon juice, and also serve our military and feed our beast, that dragon, which is feed us through money with the religion, feed us through money through believing in our fiat, and feed us through money by enrolling in our military, and we pay you that fake money and further spreads the Babylon juice.
That's right. That's right.
It's a beast, man.
Who do you think tried to assassinate King James? Guy Fawkes.
Oh yeah.
He was a Jesuit. Okay.
Trying to get in.
And he tried to assassinate King James. So it's like, you're not, you know, I'm telling you, it all goes, they're all related. Okay. You can't just have one without the other. And that's what we're proving with these articles, how they're intermingled, how it all goes back to one central power. But amongst that, he's spreading it out amongst two other city-states to make the trifecta, you know. Mm-hmm. That's why when you read, don't get all twisted up when we say Mystery Babylon is the Roman Catholic Church and the Vatican, because D.C. and London is very much a part of it. You think America's not going to be destroyed for how they're linked in with the Vatican and what they're doing, just on the strength that they had Israel in captivity alone? And Great Britain has Israelites in captivity.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of Benjamin over there, a lot of the tribes over there. So these two places are going to be destroyed as well, because you can't knock out the beast system. You can't just knock out the religious part of it, because you still got finance and military. You got to knock out the military force, the financial force, and the religious force. And when you do that, that's when the Lord said, the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord.
And you have to consider the fact that if you were to knock out one of these three, the other two will rebuild the one real quick.
Yep,
exactly.
The church will send out the Jesuits again.
They do the same thing all over again.
If you destroy the Vatican, the financial side of it will refund to reestablish it, and the military side will enforce it. You destroy the military, the financial side will immediately refund a new military. You destroy the financial side, the Vatican will immediately endorse a new financial district, and the military will enforce.
The heads.
They'll keep coming back.
Hail Hydra type shit, the beast.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Revelations 11:15. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Hamashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever.
So the only way that this whole world can be subject to Yahushai is what? You got to take out
all of them.
The trifecta. Which you think like all the EU nations, right? You think Belgium really is a global player? You think Belgium is over there doing anything of significance? No. You think France is out there running things? No. It's London, D.C., and the Vatican. All the rest of the EU, those kings, those 10 kings, they're just set up to do what they're going to do. They don't have real clout on a global agenda. They don't. All they can offer is bodies for the army. That's really all they can offer, and go along with the policies, with the money policies. You know what I'm saying?
Slaves.
And if you don't want to go along with the financial policies, guess why? Why do you think America always has people, troops on the ground everywhere? Because they're enforcing this. If you don't follow this religion and you don't follow this finance game, which is creating money out of thin air, we are going to send our troops at you. That's how it works. So when you read the scriptures, you can't be prejudiced and be like, oh, well, everything that has to do with Great Babylon, or daughter of Babylon, is only dealing with the Vatican. You can't be so naive to say that, because it's deeper than that. That's why you read 2nd Ezra, the 11th chapter and the 12th chapter, that goes into it deeply. And that's a really hard chapter to break down, I'm not going to lie. That's a very hard chapter to break down, only on the strength of how deep the rabbit hole goes. And history.
Because you can find out something, and you find out something deeper, and it's just kind of...
So you brothers thought it was only about America. Even we did. We taught this for years. You can go look at our old videos. We said America's Babylon. I mean, it ain't no secret. We taught this for years. But as soon as you start waking up and using your own mind and letting the Lord deal with you. See, once the Lord start dealing with you, then you start searching out things. It is what is it? It's the glory of kings to search out a matter. So once you start searching out a matter, you see, oh man, Alice in Wonderland, that rabbit hole is deep. It goes deeper than just America. See, a lot of y'all didn't even know. Some of y'all might have known that England financed America. Some of you might have known that. But most of you didn't know that the Vatican owned England, which owned America. A lot of you didn't know that. We just found that out
2 weeks ago.
Right. We just found this out. So I'm telling you, because no one's teaching it in Israel. Because why? Because a lot of even in Israel, a lot of it is set up. You think the Jesuits don't have their hand in Israel? They very much do. If you think they don't, you're lying. Because it tells you that even some of the elect might be deceived by this. You see what I'm saying? That's how serious this is, that it hits home. You think, oh, it can't happen in Israel. Yes, it can. Because the same thing that went on back in the Dark Ages, with everybody reverting power to the one pope, and he was the vicar of Christ, as he claims, that is going on right now in Israel.
Yeah, but see, it went back on during the time of Acts and scriptures with the Matthews with the scribes and the Pharisees. They was like, this man says that he is the king, and we know that there's no king other than Caesar. So it's like they were paying homage to that system because it allowed them to flourish.
And it also says that they were tight. The Pharisees were tight with the Herodians. That the Herodians would keep them in their power. And it tells you, High Priest Caiaphas, he told you in John the 11th chapter, I believe, he said, we have to do something. I'm just roughly paraphrasing. He said, we have to do something about this Yahweh Shai. Because he's getting so powerful that he's going to cause us for the Romans to take us out of power. See, it was all about power, wealth, and influence. It's always been that way. What makes you think it's not like that now?
And another thing I might add is that the devil is a deceiver. He used the ploy of the Yahweh. He used the ploy through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, which was start out in truth and sincerity, and he twisted it and perverted it. Now the Lord sent out apostles and teachers to send, go out 2 by 2s and spread the gospel. These damn demons took it and twisted and perverted it and sent out Jesuits to do the same thing. And
the guys in wickedness.
So
come on now, you ain't lying, huh? You telling the truth. They did the same thing, and they called the Jesuits. Now, mind you, when you go back to this, I think it's this article where it deals with the Jesuits coming to America, how they were trying to deal with the natives. Now, it tells you that the Iroquois slaughtered a lot of them, and they called those men. They called those men martyrs.
And hence why the Catholic Church has so many of those idols of people who died and stuff like that. They idolize and put a lot of people on pictures and make them like
call them saints and everything.
Call them saints and stuff because they feel like they died doing that, which was spreading Catholicism.
I can't remember where it is, but you read this article, it's going to tell you that the Iroquois slaughtered some of them, and they called those men martyrs.
Converting.
So
By force.
So see, that's what I'm saying. They did the same thing, like you said, the same thing that Yahweh Shai commissioned. They did the same thing in wickedness. Why? Because Satan always does what's on the right on the left.
Yeah.
He always repeats what's done on the right on the left.
And ultimately, it was for the Lord to be able to filter out the elect as well.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying? Because
That's
you think about that, you think about the Catholic Church, and then you hear them say Peter, then you say, okay, that leads all the way back to the ministry of Christ and all of this stuff, and you're like, wow. But all along, it's all mystery. It's a mystery.
Yeah. Now go ahead and read Nahum 3 and 14.
Yeah, I was thinking about this scripture.
Nahum 3 and 14. Draw thee waters for the siege, fortify thy strongholds, go into clay and tread the mortar, make strong the bricklem. There shall the fire devour thee, the sword shall cut thee off, it shall eat thee up like the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the cankerworm, make thyself many as the locusts. Thou hast multiplied thy merchants above the stars of heaven, the cankerworm spoileth and flieth away.
See, they multiplied the merchants above the stars of heaven. Now, when you go back to this trifecta, this unholy trinity, oh, it's like, when you go back to this unholy trinity, okay, of the three city-states, America is not just the military might. America is also the merchant. The merchants. Everybody does business. America is now what? An importer. They import all goods from everywhere. Everything's from China, Taiwan.
Yeah. People are collateralized.
Yeah, people.
And made into,
But why did they do that? Why did they? How did America become such a merchant country, a corporation? Because they have the Israelites enslaved here. They know throughout history, whenever you had Israel enslaved, that nation became the wealthiest on the earth, which is why Daniel had the vision of the statue. Okay, we were in Babylon, he was the head. Then you had Medo-Persia. All those all those people that were the greatest kingdoms, we were enslaved in. So the same thing, there's nothing new under the sun. So when they brought us over here, they said, aha, now we can make merchandise of them. You see what I'm saying? And they did that. So the money they make goes where? Boom. They filter it here and it goes back to the mother. So that's what I'm saying. That's why the merchants, you read about that, but hell, the Vatican can't do all that. They cannot be merchants and spiritual advisors and this and fight and deal with the money. They can't do all that.
It's gonna fuck the scheme.
Right.
Excuse my language.
You have to. Okay. What does the Rockefellers do in America? They have Standard Oil, which under Standard Oil, let me see if I can find it here.
And while you're looking this up, I wanna clarify so it doesn't get confusing that for sure London still stands as the financial branch, despite the fact that all of the mercantilism occurs in America, because the fact that all of the stored wealth sits within London. See, America just stands as like a focus point for all of the money to be made. But after the money is made, it then, like we just said, gets shipped back to London.
Yeah, it's a business.
And see, the thing is the fact that America has so much mercantilism going on within it is what helps allow it to be the military side, because it would be pretty obvious and fishy if America just suddenly started getting all this money from London and now that's how they're paying for all their military
money for war.
Yeah, but the fact that they have all of these major corporations are all throughout America, that is what helps to fund the American military might. And so all of the excess profits get shipped right back to London, and that's where all the wealth is stored.
And also, Father Bush is well known for being in the center of the drug trade, of the heroin trade and the cocaine and all that. You watch these old movies like Cocaine Cowboys, or the real Rick Ross, who was like dealing so much weight. They'll tell you that the Contra, the Contra or whatever, they're connected Nicaragua or wherever. He was telling them that it goes back to Bush. So he's in charge of all that. So look at the Standard Oil, which is Rockefeller owned. Look at all these companies, these subsidiaries of Standard Oil. You see, why do they do this? This is a ploy. So when you look at ExxonMobil, you don't know that it goes back to Standard Oil. There's a front man for ExxonMobil. There's a president, a CEO, and you be like, oh, this is the man. You think he really owns it. No, he doesn't. He's just working for them. Amoco, BP, Marathon, all your major gas stations go back to Standard Oil. And it's like that for everything.
Yep.
There's like I think there was like 17 or so corporations that own the whole, like 99% of all businesses. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they hide in the veil of secrecy. Mm-hmm. The brother was explaining how they get the money for the military without making it look like they're getting the loan from London.
Because it'd be weird if all the money was coming from London. See, all of the excess profits. Where do you put all of your excess profits? You put it in the bank. Well, then where does the money from the bank go? It goes for the bank that owns that bank. Like, all the banks own each other. The money just keeps filtering upwards and upwards until it makes it to the global banks that are stationed in London.
That's right. All right, so let's go with Ezekiel 28.
God, Ezekiel 28:1. The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man, and not God. Though thou set thine heart as the heart of God.
This is so telling. Verse 2 tells you who it's dealing with. It says the prince of Tyrus, but spiritually, you know who this is dealing with. Yeah. You see, because the only one throughout history who really lifted themselves up and said that I am a God, I sit in the seat of God, okay, is who? The Roman Catholic Church, the Pope. So this is the heart of it, the heart of the matter. Now it gets broken up, but let's find out how it gets broken up. Come on.
Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee.
And this is what makes up the whole beast. Because look, I'm gonna share something else with you too, right? Now you have. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Check this out. Now you got the pyramid scheme, right? Now you got what's called Illuminati think tanks, okay? Which is your different, your Club of Rome, your Trilateral Commission, your Council on Foreign Relations. All those, that's not a good picture. Let me find a better picture. All those are think tanks. Right here. All these are think tanks. United Nations, Bilderberg, Club of Rome. These people are your brightest and best of the beast system. These are the brightest and best, and they come out with all these. They're the ones that come out with all these brilliant ideas on how to set up and establish this and get the most profit from it. The Rockefeller Foundation, all these. That's all they do. They take the brightest people and they put them here. And not just Esau, they take Jake too.
Yeah.
Don't you know Benjamin Banneker helped design Washington, D.C.? How it's all set up like the owl and everything? Yep. Benjamin Banneker, Jake, he helped design that. So they don't just take Edomites, they take heathens and they take Israelites, and they run them into these corporations to data mine them and find out the best way to accomplish, what they want to. That's why it says they are wiser than Daniel, because they use any method possible to come up with the desired result.
Oh yeah, how are they wiser than Daniel? Because it was in Daniel, through the counsel of the Lord, these people, you have multiple people with the counsel of Satan,
who runs this world
with a conglomerate. So they're gonna be all multiplicity. You know what I'm saying? So they,
and Satan is the god of this world. Come on.
With thy wisdom and with thine understanding thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures.
You see what I'm saying? Now, the Vatican is very wealthy. They got gold all over the place. The Rothschilds and the banking families are extremely wealthy. So why do you think it is that you're going to see a picture of, why do you think the elite bankers are the Pope is kissing their ring? Let's see if that. How do you think this is? You know what I'm saying? Why do you think you see Kissinger and these bankers? Why is the Pope doing that? Because they have the money. You see what I'm saying? Ultimately, the quote is true. He who controls a nation's money controls the laws.
Yep.
So ultimately, even though they set this up hundreds of years ago, now they know. That's why you don't really hear about the Pope. You always hear about the Rothschild. Oh, Rothschild's this, Kissinger's that, the elite bankers this, the elite bankers that. Why? Because they're in control of the finances.
All about finances and assets.
So they got riches and gold and silver into their treasuries. Now, they got gold and silver, one, through the religious aspect by making people pay for forgiveness of sins, which is called indulgence, which is the same reason why Martin Luther and all these Protestants, John Calvin and Wesley and all these people pulled away from the Catholic Church, because they said that was wrong. How have London and the bankers gotten the riches? By usury. Okay? You go get a house, you get a mortgage on a house, and you pay the house 3-4 times over when you're done. How did America? By slavery. You understand? This is how they have gotten the riches.
Profit on top of profit.
Right. Come on.
By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches.
So by the wisdom and by the traffic you increased in riches. Now look at commercial. Right? The word commercial goes back to commerce. And commerce is what? Trade, trafficking.
That's why they call him the Prince of Tyrus. Tyrus was what? Trading.
A trade route.
Trading coast.
They had the coast, all the different coasts. They had access to all the different empires through where they were located.
They
in
can
the north.
carry that. They can carry the Nile, or they can carry the Euphrates. All those rivers that would be able to maneuver. That's why the Lord made it that epicenter. That's the center, epic center. All right, the center of commerce. You know what I'm saying? Trade routes, everything going through there from Africa, from the Asia to Europe. You know, it's all gonna come there, and they will come and meet and trade, and you know.
See, so here's ancient Tyre.
Coast.
So you had from the Mediterranean Sea, you go out in all directions.
And
You can take the Red
here,
Sea to go south.
here.
You can go up, east, west, north, south, any direction you want, and you have access to trade.
Yeah.
You see, that's where it all goes back to.
And then you also have a superior military position, because you can retreat anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you never be enclosed. You're gonna retreat
Right.
anyways if you had to be.
So that's the point. I mean, do y'all have anything to add as a last statement?
Nah.
That's basically the point of all this. So we just did this so y'all can get a better understanding of the whole beast system and Mystery Babylon and what it contains, you know. So on that note, we want to give all praises to Yahweh,
Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Shalom.
Shalom.